Hello, world. What separated your deep ball from everybody else?
My deep ball, it has a little secret sauce to it, man.
Never get too high, never get too low, but just keep moving.
The whole story is Carlos never beat me in any kind of sports in high school.
Welcome to the Orange is the New Black podcast. We are your hosts. He is Zim Hude. I am Ace. Zim, what's up?
What's up? Hello, world. Y'all ready to go to Arizona? Who been to Arizona before? I never been to Arizona, bro.
Yes, Thirsty. Yes, Thirsty.
I'm just, me and Ace coming off of real good spaces, good chat. I love talking with the Bengals community. If y'all don't get a chance, like, man, make sure y'all go on Twitter. First, follow Midwest Best Barbecue. I'm going to start it off like that. We're going to talk about Midwest, I'm sure, later in the show. But follow New Stripe City on Twitter and follow Zim Hude on Twitter as well. You want updates on free agency, live stuff, alerts on your phone, make sure you follow that on Twitter. And the Twitter Spaces is phenomenal. Good talk with like good conversation, not arguments. Great conversation about your favorite football team.
No, that's facts. Like Zim is saying, follow him at Zim Hude. Follow me at New Stripe City on Twitter. We love interacting with you guys on there. It's really just like a big kind of open discussion, open forum. If you're not familiar with what Twitter Spaces is, that's what it is. Everybody kind of gets to talk. You have a speaker. You have people that get to talk. You have a host. So definitely be sure to check that out. We had a healthy conversation today in there. We're here to talk about free agency. You guys haven't seen us since this past Sunday when Zim did the Zim Tobin moves, and I did the Ace Tobin moves. Now we got real moves. So before we get into all of them, I'm just gonna do a quick run through of the guys that we've signed here, right? So today, the latest signing as we record this at 7:21 is Eli Apple. Lyle Collins is in town visiting with the Bengals. He's supposed to go out to dinner with Joe Burrow.
What?
The Bengals brass.
He going out to eat with them?
He going out to eat with them tonight.
It's a wrap. I just thought he was coming in.
There.
Well, look. I got the doctor. We're going to get the medical straight. Hey, I already hit Jeff Ruby last week. It's a done deal. So, hey, look, you could cross that. That's a signing. It's done. As long as I told him medium well. If he wants a medium well.
Yeah, if it's got to be medium well.
Facts, because the rest of the AFC North is well done. I'm cooking. Oh, my God.
Facts. So then we started off free agency with a boom. Alex Kappa, 4 years, $40 million there. The Hayden Hurst deal, the terms came out. It's a 1-year deal for $3.5 million. So not big money for Hayden Hurst after CJ Uzomah leaves for, I think, an average of $8 million a year. That is, I'm not shout out to CJ because it's all love, but there is not a $5 million a year difference between those two guys. The other guy we got is Ted Karras from the New England Patriots, 3-year deal worth over $18 million. They re-signed BJ Hill. They re-signed Brandon Allen today. They re-signed Michael Thomas. Both of them, the wide receiver and the safety. Josh Tupou has been re-signed. The terms haven't been disclosed yet. And Clark Harris. So with that being said, Zim, what are your thoughts on like the free agency haul so far, and where do you see them moving forward? Because we kind of we talked in the spaces, and I think me and you both were on the get Lyle Collins and JC Shredder train. Like me and you were heavy on that. We also kind of talked about some cornerbacks too, but as we were doing that spaces, Eli Apple signed. So like what are your thoughts on free agency so far? Just a recap of the guys that they brought and maybe just a tidbit about each player. And then where do you want them to go in this second wave, I guess, of free agency?
Man, great questions. We can you feel free to interject. Brandon Allen, I talked about that before. I don't know why I started with him. That
Jerron Reed is also visiting the Bengals. We heard that tonight as well too.
Who? Oh,
Jerron Reed, the 3-tech. He's in town tonight as well.
Okay.
According to Malik, he's in town tonight as well.
Great follow as well. Make sure y'all follow Malik on there. I forgot his name on it, but Malik Wright Report. Right Report, good follow. Let me what I was gonna say. Brandon Allen. I'm thinking I have a philosophy going into the draft. You should always be looking to upgrade the quarterback position. That's just one of my weird quirks in a way, because formulate a lot of stuff that I think from the Patriots. I think the Patriots would never stop looking for Jacoby Brissett, never stop looking for a Tom Brady to replace Drew Bledsoe, whatever. But that's one of my things. I don't want them to settle for Brandon Allen. I want them to go to draft, and if a guy falls, be looking. It doesn't mean you have to sign it, but that's just one of my weird quirks that I just feel like quarterbacks are assets. But I do like them solidifying the position. Kudos to them. Michael Thomas deal is pretty good. All those different things like that. The Eli Apple deal, I would have liked Casey Hayward was the guy that I was targeting when we got to day 3, 4. It's actually really only day 2 of the actual free agency period or whatever. But that's who I wanted. I wanted Casey Hayward. I thought he was really good in cover 3. I thought his contract is not much different than Eli Apple's. It's about 5.5, I believe. Eli Apple got a 1-year $4 million. I think it's probably when the terms come out, it's probably be all guaranteed. But if that's the guy that rotates in with potentially a guy that you draft first round, I think when we were in the season, I kept on saying, man, bro, the first pick going to be a corner. But then when you get to pick 31, I never thought we'd go to Super Bowl. So things change a little bit, like, you know, the talent pool. Excuse me. So one of the concepts we just talked about on the spaces were, for me, I think any of the money, like Hayden Hurst, we could talk about that. I think that it's almost, I feel like it's a slight upgrade. If I'm playing Madden, CJ Uzomah's a 71, Hayden Hurst is a 72. You know, like if I'm playing Madden, right? I thought that they probably would wait. And the only reason why I would want them to wait is because one of the concepts that I came up with that I thought would be a perfect fit is JC Treader. If they go and stack these contracts up the way that they've been doing these contracts, front-loaded contracts, 2-3 year deals where you get out of the first year if you have to. If it works out, it works out. Restructure later. However they have them set up right now, it is giving us a lot of cap space. I think JC Treader would blow the doors off the league as far as our front 5. Now, we just came from a spaces. Shout out to my guy, Johnny. Shout out to a lot of people that have given us other information that suggests that maybe he might not be all in, and that's part of the reason why they let him go. He wasn't practicing the whole year. But from a performance standpoint, he's really freaking good. So I really like him, and I hope that they still do that because I've been very adamant. I like to kind of tone it down when I come on the show a little bit, but I've been super pumped at the idea and the concept of JC Treader at left guard, and then you come in with this lineup. JC Treader at center, move Karras to left guard. If you do that, I promise you the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. That's just my belief. If you block for Joe Burrow, any holes that you think that you have, we'll be playing with 10-point, 12-point leads every single week. And I think that the defensive end, Joseph Ossai's of the world, will be able to pin their ears and just go get them. I just think that we'll play from a lead and you'll walk into the 1 seed. That's what I would do, is just take care of the offensive line. And people that have been watching us for a while, I started Team Chase, Penei Sewell. I think one crazy concept that's come to fruition now is I'm back on Team Sewell in the sense of I want to block. You know, like I'm enamored with the thought of that front 5. Mm-hmm. I just don't think there's nothing that you could do. I don't care. We just came from the business. I don't care what anybody comes at from a pass rushing standpoint. I can put every single one of those guys on the island. That's my focus. I think La'el Collins, you just told me he's going out to eat with Joe Burrow. It's a wrap. Anybody sit in a room, if you sit in a room with Joe, it's a wrap. The medicals come out, whatever, it's a wrap. So we got that under control. I'm not mad at the idea of my boy Spain battling out with Carmen if it comes to that. But if you come with that front 5, not only will Joe Burrow never be touched, which everybody's always been going on, Team Sewell was formulated on the concept that you don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt or touched or anything like that. I'm here to tell you, we will clap for La'el Collins, but you give me Shredder, Sewell is I'm reinvigorated from the great. Like I'm out of my body. If you get a starting, that's the best offensive line in football, bro. Like, I'm not talking the North, football. You'll play with a lead. If you feel like you need to address some holes at tight end, whatever, corner, 3-tech, we'll fix that later. I promise you, and it's a Super Bowl. That's just how I want to start this show.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's a happy medium because you were able to get Chase and you were able to potentially fix this complete offensive line. So I think like at the end of the day, that's the best case scenario for it all. Like you kind of get the best of both worlds from that aspect. For me, like some of the key signings that I really like through this, obviously bringing BJ Hill back, I felt like he was a guy that we needed to target, and especially with Larry getting paid. Congrats to him. Shout out to the Ogunjobi fam and all of them. Congrats on getting paid. But I think that was the biggest one for me because as we talked about, 3-tech was important. BJ Hill was a steal. You turned Billy Price. I think you said this earlier in the week. You turned Billy Price into that trade into BJ Hill. And that was, I think, a key factor as well. I love the re-signing of Eli Apple on a 1-year deal for $4 million. I mean, that brings him right back. So you're not pigeonholed into picking a specific position. I really like the Hayden Hurst thing because once a lot of the tight ends started flying off of the board, I wasn't familiar that Hayden Hurst was really even available. And I went to the free agent list online and I was looking and I was like, hold on, like Hayden Hurst is a free agent. It threw me off because he was.
You see Devontae Adams.
Crazy.
But keep on going. Devontae Adams is part of a trade to the Raiders. You guys just breaking news on the live show.
That is crazy. But, for me, for Hayden Hurst, the thing that he represents is I did AFC North talk, and I remember when Hayden Hurst was traded, right? And he was really a first-round talent that they had, and Mark Andrews was one of the reasons that they couldn't use him. And then they also had Nick Boyle as well. And because of that,
Moon, hey Moon, what's up?
Go ahead, Moon. But yeah, we'll continue. It's the off season anyway. One thing was that they had Nick Boyle and they wanted to get him in there, and so they ended up trading him for, I believe, like a second-round pick to Atlanta. The year that he went to Atlanta, he actually had a really good season. Had about 500 to 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then they draft my guy, Kyle Pitts, right? This guy that I talked about, once in a generation kind of weapon. They couldn't pass on him. And so essentially he became a tight end too, but he's really a first round talent when you really when it's all said and done. And so to get him on a 1-year deal for $3.5 million is amazing. The only thing I was worried about was the fact that he didn't have, or he was a little older. And that was what was kind of throwing my mind when I looked and saw he was 28. I was like, how is this dude 28? He just got drafted, in the same draft class as Lamar Jackson, but he was older. But I think that he's going to be a great weapon for this offense. I think he can do a lot in the actual passing game as far as receiving and stuff like that. I think that this will be one of the ones that we look back on, very similar to Cheeto, I think, where it's like one of those under the radar ones, but I think that he's going to really pay off, especially at that price. But I still think you still go into the draft, you can still get another tight end to pair with him. And so I don't think that keeps you from drafting a tight end, but I think that it doesn't pigeonhole you into needing one there. So Hayden Hurst, I love that pick. Obviously, the offensive alignment, I think the Bengals set the biggest statement ever on the first day. I don't think I've ever seen them, Zim, on the very first day at the start of free agency have like the first signing. Like it was Kappa off the rip. I can't hear you, Zim. I don't know. I think you might have hit the mute button or something on your mic.
Oh,
there you
I'm
go.
back. I think they had to. When you look at like what is the Achilles heel, I think, of the Bengals, is nothing. Last year we kind of were upset at the end where you're like, man, go get another veteran interior guard guy or something like that just to solidify the position, and they didn't do it. And I think if you just watch Joe Burrow, and I say this amongst Bengals fans all the time, Joe Burrow does not like pressure right in his face because he can't manipulate like how he wants to in the pocket. And I just think that they're just like, yeah, we can't leave that to chance. I know that the Bengals, we normally don't play guards, but we're going to do it smart. We're going to do front-loaded deals. We're going to make sure that it's not a hard cap hit. If it doesn't work out this year, we'll go back to our original philosophy. So there are lots of outs in the contracts and different things like that. So I applaud them for the finances on a lot of those deals. But even more happy with, like you're saying, the assertiveness to say, this is our biggest weakness. We can't leave it to chance. Let's take care of that first. If some of these guys that we want don't work out, we're okay with waiting. Let everybody fall to us. Lyle Collins, Cowboys, you thought you could get a pick off of us. Cincinnati, I got a check for you right now, and we're going to do this the right way. You're not getting nothing off of us, no picks, none of that. We know exactly what you're talking about. So there's a lot of people, including myself, that was like, throw him a 6. Baker going to the Commanders, is that real?
Oh man, I don't know, but like you said, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
People, let's talk about Davante Adams real quick. I'm gonna pivot real quick. The reason why Davante Adams I think is big because that's the number one wide receiver in football, 28.5 per year, right? That actually is pretty darn good for what I think that's good for us in the sense that. People bringing up Jamar Chase, that's not an option. That doesn't happen right now. That we're years away from that. We're 2 years away from even entertaining a new contract from Jamar Chase. He's off his rookie deal, so let's not worry about that. The real person is T. Higgins, Williams, Mike Williams, who I don't believe in. Still, they gave him 22 per. That's the person. Davante's at 28. So T. Higgins' agent has to believe he's somewhere in between 24, 25. If the Bengals can figure out a way to do that, Burrow, then pivot back a year later or so and do the Jamar Chase deal, I think that's what we gotta figure out. But that's how Davante Adams affects, I think, us.
What do you think? Like just pivoting, because we talk about Bengals, but we could talk about it all because me and you, we watch, a lot of the different teams around the league. What do you think, like, Aaron Rodgers is thinking right now? Like, they said that this was in works for days. He committed to that team, and now they're moving away from his number one receiver. Like, what does – I don't know. What are you thinking his thoughts are? Do you think he knew that was coming? You think he feels blindsided? You think he's cool with it? Like, what are your thoughts just on that?
I feel like Aaron Rodgers did one of the Cardinal sins, and that's talk about other people's money that are on your team, and that was the first strike. And so when you do that, you lose loyalty to like your partners and your friends that are on your team. So at that point, I think Davante Adams is like, yeah, I know this dude don't got my back. So Aaron Rodgers has dug his own grave. Baker Mayfield is probably Faker Mayfield is probably the biggest coochie on earth. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is up there. He's up there. If Aaron Rodgers' coochie level is here, Baker's probably like here. I don't know. They're almost neck and neck. So behind the scenes, they're not nice people, I don't think. Like that, just from people that I know, from their interviews and different things like that, I don't feel any type of way for Rodgers. I feel like Rodgers, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I was going to say, I feel like he stole an MVP from Joe. But if you really look at the numbers, I come on this show a lot. I feel like he was handed that MVP. If you look at like what Joe did this past season, taking 70 sacks and then outperforming Aaron Rodgers in all those categories, yards per throw, completion percentage, quarterback rating nearly the same. Goes to the playoffs, 10 points, goes out, dink and dunk with the best wide receiver in football. I really feel like Joe Burrow, that was his MVP trophy. I feel like Aaron Rodgers gets a lot of credit for a lot of stuff that he hasn't really accomplished. Joe Burrow on his first full season just went to a Super Bowl. Period. But on top of that, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers now is probably in a situation like if you're there, like they just reworked. That's his guy, Randall Cobb, right? What you gonna do with Randall Cobb? I think that he's at a bad position to me. You just lost the best wide receiver in football. Can they make that 2 people now? I just saw Allen Robinson go to the Rams. You saw that?
Yep, I saw that as well.
Run it back. Tell him we won it. Because all I hear about is OBJ got hurt and we would have. I dare you to come. I dare you to come to Arizona. I'm gonna put that on the shirt.
But the one thing that you will see from throughout this free agency process is so many teams in the AFC like going for it, and you gotta like look at it as they're doing all of this for the Bengals, right? Like we were the AFC champion. These teams are essentially trying to get all of these pass rushers, edge rushers, and all of that to kind of keep up with the Bengals, right? The Broncos went out and got Russell Wilson. There's all of these moves happening, Khalil Mack. Like there's a lot of stuff happening in the AFC, and I think that is because people know once we get this line, just like my man Michael Irvin said, the league is about to be scared because we got to the Super Bowl. without that offensive line. So, our team, from my vantage point, with what they've done so far, if they go out and get La'el Collins and all of that, all we really have to do is fix the line, right? A lot of the guys we were able to bring back, BJ Hills and stuff like that, and I think that we're going to do well in the draft. We didn't get any comp picks, which is cool, but I think that this team, Duke Tobin and company, Zach Taylor and company, they know what to do when it comes to putting this team back together. And I think that they're doing a great job of doing that. I can't say that anybody that's really left, in my opinion, can't speak for Who Dat Nation, but in my opinion, we're really a huge loss. Like, I don't see like where we've lost somebody where it's like, I just can't imagine how we're going to replace this person. That has not happened yet. But moving forward, just shifting gears to that.
Don't you feel like Uzomah? Me and you talked about this. I feel like I love Uzomah to death. I love what he brings to the locker room. Hayden Hurst.
It was not a huge loss to me. I will go on record. It was not a huge loss to me. There's not that much of a difference between CJ and Hayden Hurst, in my opinion. Like, and that's, you have to remember, Hayden Hurst was a first round pick. Not to talk down on CJ.
Facts.
CJ was not a first round pick. So, like, for me, congrats to him. I'm glad he got his bag. I'm glad everybody that got their bag.
Pro bag.
Deserve that. But I'm not going to act like it's, Jamar Chase just left the Bengals or something like that. Like, for me, the most important players are still here. And I think that some of the guys that they rebound on, such as a BJ Hill with Ogunjobi, we knew that we had to keep at least one of those guys, right? And we got BJ Hill back. We knew we couldn't let both of those guys leave. So, in my opinion, especially with them bringing Eli Apple back, all of the concerns in my head are really filled if we get Collins. Oh man, like, bro, I'm good. Like, we're pretty much in a good position. But moving forward,
I feel like the Bengals still got drafted. They still got drafted tight end though.
What exactly? I agree with you on that. What are some of the free agents that are out there, or positions just in general, that you want to see them go after in this second wave?
Treader. Treader, and Treader. Yeah. It's like, Akeem Hicks will be good. The kid you just said, Deron Reed, I believe. I think that's a good, like, people might harp on Ogunjobi a little bit, and I really mess with Ogunjobi as well. I think the difference when you pick between the two is Ogunjobi, even early in the year, I remember him getting through a lot and blowing up plays and missing the tackles. I think throughout the whole entire year, he missed like 13 tackles. So if you're getting home and not completing it, that loses some value to me. But Ogunjobi, when he's on. Next to Reader, I really would like them to do like a slam dunk craziness. I've talked about Akeem Hicks, and I've also talked about Fletcher Cox. I feel like when we talk about Geno and then we talk about Aaron Donald, people forget about Fletcher Cox was in between in that, that 3-sack, like that mania that's now sweeping the NFL. I talked about that earlier too. I feel like interior pressure is the new pressure. Like, teams are finding out that 3-techs are ruining game plans, and these edge rushers, the market is slowly starting to dwindle down a little bit. But Akeem Hicks will be a guy. I told you how I really wanted Casey Hayward. If money was no issue, someone like Cordell Patterson, I think, would help us in two different ways. You have a speed threat, over the top type of guy. We're going to be looking for a mid-round guy, right? I think the Bengals would be picking the money situation over potentially Cordell Patterson getting $8 million or something crazy like that. I don't think it's that crazy if you structure the contract properly on a 2-year deal for him. But he solves two different things about kick return and punt returns or whatever. When Duke Darren Simmons said he wanted the fear of God to be in other teams on a returner. That's Cordell Patterson. And then he also is an upgrade at the running back position, and he gives you wide receiver abilities. Part of the reason why I want Treader, and somebody brought this up in the spaces, Joe Burrow wants to play straight spread every single time. In the NFL, it's always conventional wisdom that you can't do that. You know when you could do that? When you have all 5 of your linemen at an elite level, like we're about to walk into, if you ran into a Treader. And then if you did that, then I'd be all in on this concept of just, you don't even care about tight end as much, except when you get into like your goal line packages and it really is time to block. I really think they should spread teams out and do what Joe Burrow wants to do best, and that's cook. And so a lot of what I want from free agency is starting to dwindle down and head to the draft. You just came from the Super Bowl. So it's not like I'm looking for impact. I'm not looking for roster fillers anymore. Brandon Allens of the world, Hayden Hursts of the world, Eli Apples of the world. That's how you start to fill it in from free agency. You always buy your needs and then you draft the talent. So I'm almost at that point where I'm like, bro, if it's not Treader, like who's going to give me impact? In the comments, please feel free. Comment after the show. Make sure y'all come on here. Comment like crazy. Name all the guys that you guys want. Y'all can name them while we're live on the show. Tell me who the heck do y'all think is going to come in this building and make impact? Because there's not starting positions available. It's only cornerback 2. Now that Eli's going to be battling with that guy. That's one of your spots. And then a 3-tech.
Right.
Everybody else is starting on defense. Like, what are you trying to sign now?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Another note here from Albert Breer says that the Bengals, since they like to call us cheap, they're flying La'el Collins into Cincinnati tonight and have a day of meetings set up for him tomorrow. These visits went well for them last year, so Collins signing tomorrow wouldn't be a surprise. Frank Pollock, the LSU connections are already there. Have not heard anything about any other teams being there. There were other teams interested, but I think that the Bengals are jumping on this right now. But like
you know what would make the world just shatter? What if they went and got Za'Darius?
Ooh, if they went and got Za'Darius, so like Za'Darius would be crazy for me.
Tell people the story about Za'Darius.
So
like on what
Za'Darius,
happened.
He ended up agreeing to terms verbally. I don't know. I think it must have been verbally. There was a verbal agreement with the Ravens where he was going to go and sign there. Later in the day, the Von Miller deal happens. That's insane with a load of money from the Bills, where he's getting, I believe it was like $17.5 million. Za'Darius, I believe his contract, I don't have the exact numbers, but it was not $17.5 million. It was like $10 million a year or something like that. So today, it comes time for him to come and sign the contract in Baltimore. He refuses to sign the contract, meaning that he is no longer at this moment a Baltimore Raven. That deal has never happened. He did not sign a dotted line. Therefore, he is a free agent and feels like yesterday's price is not today's price and is looking for that from somewhere.
Bro, the caveat to Treader, if you're watching this and you don't know who JC Treader is, we're taking him from the Browns. I mean, they released him. So technically
one of the top centers in football.
But come on, say we go get a Browns dude, like that's a killer, like game over, y'all in shambles anyway. Baker asked to get traded. You're just the Browns. And then, but the Za'Darius Smith one is crazy to me because literally every Ravens person I know, like if you're on Duke Tobin Thanos mode or whatever, like if you cooked up the Infinity Stones to go pull that one off, do you know, like, I don't think the Ravens would even watch football this year, bro. Like, do you know how excited they were for him and Marcus Williams? Like, people that I follow a couple Ravens guys.
They were also saying that they wanted La'el Collins and him. And I was like,
yeah, and they got old man Moses instead.
Yes, sir. They did end up signing, I believe, Michael Pierce, something like that today. He got cut from the Vikings. I think he's a defensive tackle, pretty solid.
He's solid.
Had some injuries, I think, last year, or some kind of opt-out with his asthma or something like that last year. Didn't finish with him. Yeah, it was something like asthma. Like, I looked it up because I was thinking about us potentially getting him just because he's really more of a no.
Oh, nah, bro. I can't. Look, if bro want me to pull up with an asthma puppet on Sundays, like, it's not happening, bro. You too old to be having asthma, bro. You got to grow out of that.
But the other thing somebody is asking is, what would it take to sign Fletcher Cox? I think that's an interesting one, right? Because, to go from Joey B making that impression on him early on, you got to wonder if there's any kind of interest there. I don't know what kind of deal he's looking for. I don't know what the market really is for him at this point. There's still some weird things going on with the market, by the way, as we sit here on a Thursday recording this. Like things like the wide receiver market have kind of really went down. The right tackle market as of now, like Teron Armstead still hasn't signed because we don't know about what's going on, where Deshaun Watson is going, whether it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons or the New Orleans Saints. There's still some stuff there, but it's really kind of slowed down already. So we're kind of in this space where you don't really know what the market is. We just watched the market go from a Hayden Hurst level tight end a few days ago being 7-8 million per year to 3.5 million a year today. So that's going to change, and things are going to change. And next week is going to be crazy. But one other position.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you a question.
One thing that I'm waiting for too is the cap casualties. We talked about them. A lot of them happened this week. One that I really wanted to happen isn't going to happen with Bradley Roby. He ended up like redoing his whole deal essentially with the Broncos. But James Bradbury is one to keep an eye on. Like he's still out there. He could be a guy that they cut, and the Bengals could potentially pick him up next week for probably pennies on the dollar. But go ahead, Zim.
I was going to ask you, are there any corners that you think that are left in free agency that you would take? And I tell you
now, no. Cap casualties, like if they do Bradbury or something, and I think somebody talked about Dante Jackson. I don't know if he's already out there. Maybe something like that, but not something where I'm spending more than I just spent on Eli Apple, right? Like it's going to be a 1-year deal, probably low guarantees, like, you know, essentially the same kind of deal that I just signed him for would be something that I would be looking at.
But say Dante Jackson takes a little bit less, because I think Dante Jackson, in my mind, and what I've read from market value, and we did the whatchamacallit,
it's much higher than that. Is what you're saying.
I think it would, but I think it's like 8-9 million or something like that. What if I told you we might miss out on a lot of other stuff, but we go to the corner, we go get Dante Jackson, right? And we go get a 3-tech, the dude that's in the building right now, right? We go get a 3-tech.
Right. Do we have Lyle already? We have Lyle.
We got too. Okay. We just walked out of Jeff Ruby's. It's a done deal. So we got that deal, and then I got Dante Jackson there, but you can't really do anything else. Is that a successful free agency for you, or do you think that you will go another route and just
you know what route I'm going? Hey, Dante Jackson could get punted out of PBS and all of that for JC Tretter. Like if it's Tretter, I think I'm taking that. From my understanding, when I have to probably look at who else is out there. I know that I was still keeping an eye on Norwell. He ended up signing with the Washington Commanders earlier today. I don't think that there's really anybody else really out there besides Tretter.
They're going to sign some guys.
And of course, Spain. You got Spain that could come back too.
Well, I think to me, I think they're 100% waiting to see the draft, because say they go to pick 31 and you go get Zion or something like Zion sitting there.
Or Booth. Booth might be sitting there now that he's not working out at his pro day.
But I'm saying this is the work. This is why you don't sign Spain right now. Is because you got to see where you come out in the draft. There are legit guards this time. If they don't go that route that they did last time, like now, unless like a Trevor Penning, somebody that's supposed to go like top 15, top 20 falls to you or something like that.
Right.
If they just take a lights out, he needs some work. He could battle, take Zion. Then you come out the draft. You don't come back with Spain.
So people are saying that Joe Burrow asked for the Bengals to go bring Brandon Allen back. Apparently is what people are saying in the comments.
I've heard that from Paul Dana, and the other day I made a tweet, and this would prompted me to be like, man, I hate when people say, man, he feels good. But now I love when people give me another train of thought, because my concept is just get better at the position. Say Joe Burrow goes down or anything like that, you got a guy that you don't feel like the season is over with. Joe Burrow go down right now with Brandon Allen, you feel like the season's over. But somebody pointed out to me that a lot like Dan Orlovsky, or like a lot of these guys that were like a point in their career where you know that they were really good at talking to your starting quarterback and be able to coach him through different things that he sees. A lot of these guys, like even Trent Dilfer, what's another guy that's on TV right now? I forgot. Is Hasselbeck. all these guys like later in their career or like even midway in their career when they're not thought to be like, really good options, they're really good quarterback whisperers and they end up leaving the league and going into coaching. And I was told too that Brandon Allen talks directly to Joe and tells him what he sees, and he feels really comfortable with the information that Brandon Allen gives him. So that's another aspect of Brandon Allen that I didn't factor into because I'm really just looking at the talent. From a talent standpoint, Joe Burrow go down, Brandon Allen, season's over. Fact. Season over, unless you just throwing bubbles. I'm not throwing bubbles crazy to Jamar all day.
If it is that, you definitely got to have like a young guy that you bring in, and I completely agree with you on that, Zim. Like it's almost as much as we love Kevin Huber for coming onto the pod and stuff like that. There's certain positions like punter, I think backup quarterback that you got to have. No matter, what those relationships might be. Like you said, if Joe Burrow goes down, nobody is believing that Brandon Allen is. I mean, we've seen that already, right? Have we not seen what Brandon Allen can kind of do? We kind of saw that. Like, he's a good backup, but, that's going to push you in a position to where you have to keep 3 quarterbacks, which is fine if you want to keep one of his friends. But that third quarterback has got to be a guy that really you can kind of bring in out of that A.J. McCarron mode where that you can bring him in and trust that this dude can win games for you. And in this quarterback class, you might not have that because there's a lot of top guys at the top that probably aren't strong. So maybe the Bengals looked at this draft class and were like, yeah, we're probably not going to find any of those guys in this draft. Let's bring Brandon Allen back. I could see that just because when you look at this draft, there's a lot of guys at the top that might not even be ready to start day one. So that could have played a factor in it as well. So we'll have to see. But I completely agree with you. Like, you got to have a very good backup quarterback to the point where if that guy comes in, that he's going to win games. But Zim, let me play devil's advocate here.
Real quick.
I would never do this. No, I got to ask you this.
Real quick.
What if it was Andy Dalton? What if it was Andy Dalton that you had to bring back as a backup quarterback? I would never do that.
Andy Dalton went on the way to going to Arizona. Andy Dalton would put some type of messed up stuff in Joe Burrow's drink because he couldn't take the fact that he's about to go win a Super Bowl, and none of us really like Andy anymore at that point. Like, I just think that he'll never get over the fact that quarterbacks are confident people by nature. I think in his mind, Andy Dalton's probably watching the games right now saying, yeah, if I had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, yeah, I'd have gone to the Super Bowl too. Like, that's probably how he's thinking, which is not true. But, I don't trust that dude. No, he will put something in Joe Burrow's sandwich. Hey, I do want to say this. Devontae Adams, everybody in the comments was on Devontae Adams got traded. We understand. We talked about that about 20 minutes ago. Yes, Devontae Adams got traded. How it affects the Bengals is the T. Higgins one, that number has gone up a little bit because Mike Williams, I was looking at that $22 million. I was like, I don't think T gonna be looking at it like that. The market is now set. He's right in between that. He bought 26, 27. I mean, like, by the time we get it next year, the other one is now, by the time Jamar Chase is up, that's like 35 mil a year. With the cap going up, that's 35 mil. And it sounds super, super crazy now. But I think in a couple years, it's still going to – but we're a ways away from that, so don't worry about it. I don't really like talking about stuff that hasn't even happened yet, but he'll be about 35 mil. That's for sure. Do we have any other topics or anything that you want to? I
think we pretty much wrapped it up for the most part.
I just want to say when I go to the draft, I mean, I'm trying to just stack up. We lost. Y'all got to think we lost 3 corners where we got Eli back. I think they should double down at corner and just have like a battle royale. And I just think that it'll make it so that, like maybe Eli doesn't start anymore, or maybe he does. I don't know, but we solidified that position, and I'm not looking to go corner in free agency anymore. Like I'm really not. I think them getting the Eli deal done for $4 million is letting you know right there. Boom. Like you're good to go. As
Steve
far as
Nelson, though, I wouldn't mind. I'm in the Steve Nelson hive. He is a really good corner, but only for the right amount.
See, but I think if you would have did that, you would have just did Steve Nelson, no Apple. go to the draft, go get. You got to still get. I want Trey Flowers back. How about that? Ain't nobody talking about that. The tight end killer, Trey Flowers.
Trey Flowers back on like a really good deal. Yeah, I'm with that.
Man, what he did to Wall? I'm surprised he ain't off the board. I'm surprised. Like people that watch football, that really like what he did to Waller and Kelsey. I mean, you need that every single year. Like you need that. I want Trey Flowers back. Like that's a big component of why we won the Chiefs game.
Yes, Sirski. Well, Zim, before we get out of here, we mentioned Midwest Best Barbecue, our sponsor. I think one thing that we could do possibly in the future is we might do some spaces sponsored by Midwest Best Barbecue. So be sure to pull up to their address, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. They're going to have some good food there for you. Don't forget they got ice cream too as well. So if you're enjoying your spring break or whatever, please be sure to stop in there. We've got a lot of people who watch and listen to the show say that they've taken people to Midwest Best Barbecue. Check them out. They're in the Natty. And we're going to do some big things with them for sure in the future. So please be sure to check them out. And then also be sure to hit up zimhude.com. We still got the merch going. I know that a lot of y'all are trying to get, your merch right. We still got some. I still got plenty of stuff. So you can reach out to me or Zim if you are looking for any of that merch on Twitter at New Stripe City, at Zimhude. Also on Instagram at Zim_Hude and at New Stripe City on IG.
Please support us. Please support it. Like, listen, I know y'all want us to turn up, have more input on a lot of different things that you know, as a Bengals community. I think we're there's probably many that have this ability as well, too. I feel like our influence, the Bengals watching us and all these different things, the more that we're able to do, the more that you support us, whether it be comments in the thread, whether it's subscribing, telling people, help us out. If you just do that at this lowest form, I promise you it will go the way the circle of life goes. I promise you it'll come back in your advantage because some of your voices, different thoughts that you have are all obtained from these shows. So if you support the show, it'll help us. If you're buying merch from Aces New Stripe City or you're buying stuff from us, it helps us better the quality of our show too. Because we don't really make enough like doing other stuff. So we need to make sure that we get as much as we can whenever we can by our Bengals community. Make sure you support us 100%. I promise you. Look at the comments. People in the comments like, bro, I saw a couple people say, man, I got my merch today. Shipment comes fast. Ships right out of Cincinnati. 100%. We are for the people. So please make sure you support us.
Facts. And of course, we got to end it with a yes,
Sirski. Hello, world. What separated your deep ball from everybody else?
My deep ball, it has a little secret sauce to it, man.
Never get too high, never get too low, but just keep moving.
The whole story is Carlos never beat me in any kind of sports, and